Attack on Titan has ended quite recently, and it has really left a huge mark, not just in anime, but in media as a whole. Even if you're not an anime fan, but if you have watched the series, you would know just how great Attack on Titan was. The characters, the writing, everything about this series really stood out, and it's not really surprising why this became one of the best series of all time to ever be watched. Attack on Titan is one of the series that I really am glad I watched from beginning to end, and for some people it's been a really long journey. Some people have been watching this series for pretty much a decade at this point. So seeing this series reach its conclusion, it's meant a lot to people, and it really just shows us once again just how really influential Attack on Titan was to many people. Now of course, since it has ended, there have been a lot of discussions about whether or not the ending was good or not. I've seen some people say that it's one of the best endings they have seen. Some people have stated that it was an alright ending, but it was still good. And then lastly, you also have the people that say that it wasn't great and it was just simply confusing. Obviously there's a lot of opinions and people have their own reasoning as to why they believe that the ending was good or bad. Me personally, I think the ending was alright. Could it have been done better? Yes, I feel like there were things that they could have done more better, not just with the finale of the story, but also with the characters and what happens to them, because some characters should have gotten a more better ending than what they got. But if there's one thing that stood out the most when watching this finale, was the overall message that the finale was trying to convey, and I think they did a good job showing what they truly wanted to prove in this finale and what the overall message is of Attack on Titan. And that overall message is that there's never really going to be a world without conflict, and I'm here to explain why that is the case, because I know there might be some people who are confused by what I just said. In the beginning of the series, the conflict was very simple. It was humanity against these unknown creatures known as the Titans. We saw Eren and his group trying to put an end to these things called Titans, and more specifically, Eren was the biggest one to want to do that, and that's because one Titan was responsible for eating his mother. So because of that, Eren was determined to get rid of every single Titan that existed. But as the story continues, the conflict starts to change drastically. We start to learn more about these creatures known as the Titans, where they came from, and what is their purpose for existing. We also come to find out that Eren and Paradise Island isn't the only people that have humanity in them. No, there's other places that have humans as well. And more specifically, we will find out about the existence of a place called Marley, who would be responsible for sending these Titans to Paradise Island. And that is because of the overall conflict that aliens and Marley had for a really long time. It's very clear that at this point the conflict isn't anymore about Eren and his group fighting against these Titans. No, it's Paradise Island versus Marley, and that was pretty much the overall long conflict for a good portion of the series. We saw that Eren believed that once he got rid of these people in Marley, then him and everyone in the island would be set free and would no longer have to worry about being mistreated by other groups of people. And that really was something that Eren was determined to achieve. And of course, we still supported Eren at this time, but as time goes on, you also start to see a drastic change in Eren's viewpoints, but also how he starts to take drastic measures into achieving the goal that he wants to do. And later on, Eren would decide to attack Marley, causing the conflict between Paradise Island and Marley to become even more intense. And then afterwards, Eren decided the only solution to stop this conflict and to stop the hate between Marley and Paradise Islands is to simply activate the rumbling and destroy all of humanity except the people in Paradise Island. Eren was perfectly fine using genocide in order to stop a conflict that has been happening for so long. And this is where the conflict once again changes, as there's people in Eren's group that don't agree with what he's trying to do and think that what he is doing is very inhumane. But despite all this wasn't going to stop Eren from doing the rumbling, and this of course leads to certain members of Eren's group now trying to stop him no matter what. But due to Eren's influence, he also has his own group of people that support what he's trying to do, and these people will be called the Jaegerists. At this point in the story, it's no longer just Paradise Island versus Marley. Yes, that is still happening, but now there's a new conflict, that is the Jaegerists versus the people trying to save humanity, and ultimately this will lead up to them having having to fight against the biggest threat of all, and that is Eren Yeager. But of course, it wouldn't be easy, as characters like Armin and Mikasa, who have a huge relationship with Eren, would obviously have a hard time coming to the conclusion that they have to kill Eren. And that was something that was hard for them to go through, but realizing that Eren wasn't going to stop his plan and realizing that they were pretty much humanity's last hope, they had to do it no matter what. It was going to hurt them having to hurt someone that they deeply care about, but if this was a solution to ending it all, then they have to just simply go through with it. And that's exactly what happened when Eren would be killed by none other than Mikasa. And then towards the end, we see that humanity was not only saved, but most of the characters went in their own paths. After Eren was defeated, we will come to find out that Eren really was doing everything he could to help the people that he wanted to help the most. He wasn't a huge fan of the genocide like he implied many times in the series, but in reality, Eren did not want to do that. We come to find out that Eren did everything he did all for the sake for the people that he cares and loves so much to have more better lives than he could ever have. He was perfectly fine being labeled the villain. He was perfectly fine being seen as the true evilness of this world, just so that his people can be seen as the heroes, and hopefully people around the world will view them very differently, which just goes to show us the selflessness that Eren had all this time. Was his actions and the things he was planning on committing terrible? Yes, that is something that is very easy to say. What he was still doing was terrible and the wrong thing to do, but in these final moments you get to witness what his point of view was and what he was overall trying to achieve and what was his true goal the entire time. You can't really view Eren as just simply a cliche bad guy. He was somebody that felt that necessary evil had to happen in order for the people around them to have more better lives and to no longer be ridiculed by the entire world, because if they are seen as heroes, the people that save humanity, there are going to be people that are not going to resent them because they were the ones that saved their lives. But even though Eren had good intentions and even though he clearly was looking out for the other people, the overall message towards the very end of the series is something that can be implemented in real life as well, and that is that no matter how great the resolution is, no matter how good the outcome is, eventually the cycle is just going to repeat itself. Conflict is never truly going to go away, and this was greatly shown towards the credits, in which we see that civilization has pretty much been increasing, as well as the technology, and everything seems to be futuristic. But like always, because we are still humans, there's bound to be different ideals and there's bound to be different viewpoints that the people see towards life that creates more conflicts, and as shown in the credits, there's even more wars happening. It really just goes to show us that it wasn't the Titans that were pretty much the main reason why conflict happened. Sure, the Titans were part of the reason why it could have happened, but the overall reason that conflict even exists is because of humanity. People are going to have conflicts no matter what, and that is something that nothing can be done about it. We all wish that there was a ton of peace in the world, and we all wish that we live in a world where there's no conflict whatsoever, but that is a very difficult task to achieve, and that is something that even to this very day is still happening. We still have conflicts all around the world, and that's sadly part of life. And as much as I would love to have a world filled with peace, I know deep down that is not a very easy task to do. And this ties back to the whole Eren activating the rumbling, because now that you look back into that entire plan that Eren had, even if his plan did work out, and even if he managed to create a new society, that still doesn't change the fact that even in this new society there was still going to be conflict. Sure, in this new world they might not get mistreated or ridiculed as much as they used to, but it could still happen. That is something that is worth thinking about. Not to mention that during the different timeline scenes, we saw that there was a timeline in which Mikasa and Eren ended up being together, as when Mikasa confessed her love to Eren, Eren decided to leave everything behind and run away with her to spend his last few years with her in peace. And while it may seem like this was the happy ending that we should have gotten, in reality it's far from the case, because we come to find out that in this timeline, Marley actually decides to be the ones committing genocide, and that means that Eren's people would be eradicated, meaning that everyone that he cared about, all his friends and all the people that he knew, were victims of Marley's attack. So So it becomes a very complicated situation where on one hand you have Eren being the one to commit the genocide, and thus in the end he saves the people that he loves. But on the other hand, if Eren was not the one that did the genocide, it would have been somebody else, and Eren's people would have suffered that fate, which just further proves just how complicated these conflicts are, and just how really there was no right answer, and no matter what decision Eren made, in the end he wasn't going to have a happy ending. There was still going to be death and destruction regardless of the path he chose. It ultimately came down as to what was the best outcome. Did Eren choose to sacrifice himself for the well-being of the others, or does he simply enjoy a peaceful, happy life with the girl he loves, but in return he had to sacrifice his friends and his people in order to get that life that he wants? It really did show us that no matter what path Eren chose, there was still going to be a lot of conflicts, and while for many people they may see this as something that is very unsatisfying because there is no real happy ending, I think that was the entire point. There wasn't really going to be a happy ending in Attack on Titan, because Attack on Titan was trying to be realistic. It wasn't trying to show us this fictional world where everyone is always going to be happy and have the happy ending that everyone wished they all got, because that's not what Attack on Titan was trying to show us. It was trying to show us that no matter the outcome, there were still going to be problems, not just in humanity but in the world as well. Death, destruction, hatred, and violence are still going to exist even after Eren was defeated, even after the rumbling stopped, even after Titan powers are no longer a thing, and even after Eldians and the people of Marley have gotten more closer than they have ever been. There is still going to be issues, and the cycle is just simply going to repeat itself. And that was the overall biggest lesson that was shown in the ending of Attack on Titan. A very dark lesson, but it's a lesson that nobody should ignore. People should acknowledge that Attack on Titan did have a point towards the very end, that the biggest threat to humanity is humanity itself. People are going to have different beliefs, different ideals, and there's nothing really we can do about it that can result into conflicts happening. And the only thing we could do is hope that there is a peaceful resolution and that violence and destruction doesn't happen. And that's pretty much the entire video. I am greatly going to miss Attack on Titan, but even though it ended, it's a series that I'm never going to forget. And I highly doubt this is going to be the end of the Attack on Titan discussion, because let's face it, there's so many fans that I won't even be surprised that in the near future there are people who are still going to be watching this series, and there's still going to be people who are going to be discussing this series non-stop. And that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.